It was called the crime of the century. In 1932, the infant son of Charles Lindbergh, the man who made aviation history, was kidnapped and murdered.
The abduction and tragic death of Charles Lindbergh's 20-month-old son, Charles Augustus Lindbergh Jr., in 1932 shocked the world and remained a dark chapter in the history of American crime. The young child, referred to as the Lindbergh baby, was kidnapped from his crib at his family's estate in Hopewell, New Jersey on the night of March 1st, 1932. The ransom demand of $50,000 was made, and the case quickly became one of the most famous and publicized criminal investigations in history. It culminated in the conviction and execution of Bruno Richard Hauptmann, a German immigrant who was found guilty of kidnapping and killing the child. Hauptmann was sentenced to death by electrocution and was executed on April 3, 1936, after proclaiming his innocence until the end. Yet after nearly a century, a chilling new theory is emerging that casts doubt on everything we thought we knew about the Lindbergh baby case. The theory is so startling that it could potentially change the verdict that has haunted America for over 90 years. This new lead points not to Hauptmann, but directly at Charles Lindbergh himself. The Lindbergh family was no stranger to fame. Charles Lindbergh, renowned for making the first solo non-stop transatlantic flight in 1927, was one of the most famous men in the world. His wife, Anne Morrow Lindbergh, was a celebrated author, and together they formed one of America's most famous power couples. The kidnapping of their son, Charles Jr., was an unimaginable blow to a family already accustomed to the scrutiny of the public eye. The kidnapping was brazen. The kidnapper, using a wooden ladder, snuck into the Lindbergh home late at night and took the child from his nursery. When the nurse discovered the child missing, she immediately alerted the parents, and a frantic search began. A ransom note was found at the scene, demanding $50,000. The kidnapper's actions were swift and methodical, yet there were strange inconsistencies that would later puzzle investigators. For months, Charles Lindbergh, desperate to find his son, personally oversaw much of the investigation. He even communicated with the kidnappers through a go-between, retired school principal Dr. John F. Condon. Despite the ransom being paid, the child was never returned. Instead, 2 months later, the lifeless body of Charles Jr. was discovered just a few miles from the Lindbergh estate. The child had been brutally murdered, his head crushed in what appeared to be an attempt to cause instant death. The case quickly turned into the trial of the century, with the FBI taking over the investigation and combing through mountains of evidence. In 1934, Bruno Richard Hauptmann, a German immigrant and carpenter, was arrested after some of the ransom money was found in his possession. Despite not having any direct physical evidence linking him to the crime, such as fingerprints on the ladder, Hauptmann was convicted based on circumstantial evidence. The most significant of these pieces of evidence was the discovery of ransom money and the ladder, which had been made from wood found in Hauptmann's garage. Hauptmann's trial was swift, and he was found guilty of murder in 1935. He maintained his innocence throughout the trial and into his execution, yet even with his conviction, there were many who believed that the case was never fully solved, and questions remained about the fairness of Hauptmann's trial and the authenticity of the evidence. In recent years, a new theory has emerged, one that suggests Charles Lindbergh himself may have been involved in his son's death, either directly or indirectly. Lisa Pearlman, a retired judge and true crime author, has proposed a startling theory that changes the entire narrative of the case. According to Pearlman, the real story behind the Lindbergh baby kidnapping may involve an experimental operation gone wrong, rather than a simple ransom-driven kidnapping. Pearlman's theory is grounded in the controversial subject of eugenics, a belief system that gained popularity in the early 20th century, which advocated for improving the genetic quality of the human population through selective breeding. Charles Lindbergh, who had expressed interest in eugenics, is suspected by Pearlman of having involved his son in a dangerous and experimental medical procedure. Pearlman suggests that Lindbergh may have allowed the child to undergo a series of speculative medical operations, possibly involving the removal of vital organs such as the carotid and thyroid glands, at the hands of French biologist Alexis Carrel, a known proponent of eugenics. According to Pearlman, this theory hinges on medical reports from the time and statements made by Lindbergh and Carrel. The operations, which were likely conducted without proper medical oversight, may have inadvertently led to the child's death on the operating table. The kidnapping and subsequent ransom demand, then, could have been a cover-up for a medical tragedy that went horribly wrong. In this scenario, Lindbergh's role would have been far more sinister than anyone could have imagined. The theory posits that Lindbergh's desperate need to protect his family's image, combined with his scientific ambitions, could have led him to concoct the elaborate scheme to make it look like his son had been abducted, when in reality, the child had died in a medical procedure gone awry. This theory has sent shockwaves through the world of true crime enthusiasts, historians, and even legal experts. For many, the idea that Lindbergh was involved in the death of his own son is unfathomable.
I want to tell the people of America that I am absolutely innocent of the crime, the murder. My conviction was a great surprise. I never saw the Lindbergh baby. Before God, I am absolutely innocent. I have told all I know about the crime. I shall go to death as an innocent man.
Considering his legendary status and the love he appeared to have for his family. However, as more evidence comes to light, including the support from the Innocence Project and members of Hauptmann's family, the theory is gaining traction. Perlman, who first published her theory in 2020, has since filed a lawsuit requesting that sealed evidence related to the case be made public, hoping that further scrutiny of the materials will provide more answers. She believes that Hauptmann's execution was a grave injustice and that he should be posthumously exonerated. Many others, including Hauptmann's descendants, agree, calling for a thorough review of the evidence. The New Jersey State Police, however, have so far refused to release the documents, which has only fueled further speculation. Attorney Kurt Perhatch, who is working on the case, argues that the public deserves to know the truth. He is puzzled by the state's refusal to allow a deeper investigation into the sealed evidence and believes that there are answers hidden within the files that could shed new light on the case. The Lindbergh baby kidnapping case, while officially closed for decades, continues to captivate the public's imagination. The sheer magnitude of the crime, the media frenzy surrounding it, and the tragic loss of an innocent child have made it one of the most haunting cases in American history. For years, the case has been a symbol of the darker side of fame, of the relentless pursuit of justice, and the tragic consequences of human ambition. The new theory about Lindbergh's involvement is shaking the foundation of everything we thought we knew about the case. If the theory proves true, it could have monumental implications not just for Lindbergh's legacy, but for the reputation of the justice system itself. The questions surrounding Bruno Hauptmann's guilt or innocence, the fairness of his trial, and the truth behind the Lindbergh baby's death have never been more pressing. As the investigation into the case continues to unfold, it is possible that the Lindbergh baby mystery may finally be solved in a way no one could have anticipated. Whether or not the verdict will be overturned, or whether Charles Lindbergh's role will be re-examined remains to be seen, but the chilling possibility that the truth has been hidden for nearly a century is enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. The case that has haunted America for so long may finally be on the verge of unraveling, offering the Lindbergh family and the public the answers they have been waiting for all these years.